The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 247. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on the show today. She is the founder of Hot Rich Love Life Bitch, and yes, that's what I said. And I'm just really excited to have her on and share her story about her life and the journey she went through in self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Sofie von Marricks. Sofie, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to our listeners.
Yeah, of course. Hi. So Sofie von Marricks. I have my own business actually called Hot Rich Love Your Life Bitch, but that's okay. It's quite a mouthful. I'm fully aware. But there I work with women one-on-one, and I guess at the core of it, I'm working with them to design a career and brand that they really love, is totally authentic to them, makes them money, of course, and just really looks good while doing it. Something that they can be really proud of and excited for and excited to show off. So that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And, I always believe in having the, authenticity. I think it's something that's really missing in this world. There's too many people up there putting up this mask thinking that that's who we want to look up to. And really, we just need to be ourselves, our true selves, and we can attract the right things into our life. So I think what you're doing is great. And what's your cultural background?
Yeah, sure. My cultural background, I'm really quite the mix. And to be totally transparent, I'm not even totally sure what it is at its core. But I typically, I know for sure there's some Italian, there's Swedish, there's German, there's some Portuguese. There's also some Indian in there, perhaps some Thai. My great-grandmother lived in Siam most of her life, but there's some crossover, and we're not really sure what is all in there. So yes, I'm a mix of all sorts of, mostly European and some Asian in there as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that tidbit. And Sofie, what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
I think my favorite self-confidence quote is act as if it were impossible to fail. Because I really feel like when I am my most confident self, that's how I'm going about life. I'm just doing whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it, just really, and making really bold moves and not being attached to the outcomes, just doing what feels right in my heart at the time. And I'm going to pick two because I have another one I really love. I think Diane von Furstenberg says something along the lines of confidence. If you have it, you can make anything look good. And I also think that's the same thing. And that's really what I'm doing in my business as well. Helping people bring their most confident and authentic selves to, the online world and making it look really good so that they feel good about what they're putting out there. So I really love that quote as well.
Thanks for sharing those quotes. And I believe too, if people realize or had this notion, if failure was if there was no failure in life, what would you do, right? I mean, you would just do anything and everything because you knew in your head that, there was no such thing as failure. And when we can act in that way, we're willing to take more actions, especially for women. We tend to overthink, overanalyze, we're so afraid of, what if we make a mistake? Everyone's going to laugh at us. Everyone's going to think we're a failure or, the laughing stock. So when we learn to just act without, thinking about what's going to happen, we just gain that confidence as we go along because, either way it produces a result and another result and another result. So love the quotes that you mentioned. And in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
I think my definition of self-confidence is having a deep understanding of yourself and knowing, loving, and accepting all sides of yourself, the light and the dark, the good and the bad. And I think it also means for me, getting your validation from within instead of outside, not from the comments, not from the nice emails, not from compliments from people, being able to cultivate that validation from within. And I think it also, being truly self-confidence is an ability to be present, to be curious, to have fun, be free, trust in the process, and just really be able to use the dark times to define the light. And back to that quote, act as if it were impossible to fail. And I really love what you just said about the failure always leading to, like, even if you fail, it always leads to something else. The result leads to something else. Like, it really is true. It is impossible to fail. There is no failure in this life. And I think truly self-confident person kind of knows that. They're always able to see the silver lining and use their dark times to do something amazing with them.
I love it. Love the definition that you mentioned, and it's so true. So, thanks for sharing that. And Sofie, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
I'm not sure that there's necessarily like a before self-confidence and after self-confidence for me. But I think there's always going to be times, for instance, that I am unsure of myself. Like, of course, those times are fewer and farther between now. And before, like, having those times where I wasn't, maybe feeling insecure or unsure, it would really paralyze me and I wouldn't make moves for years and it would really hold me back. But now I'm really able to talk myself through it. And I've built a support network that, can remind me of who I really am. And I really look to prayer as well to do that. But I guess before, when I was maybe my least confident self, I would say I was constantly stressed. I was hostile. I was complaining all the time. I was unhappy in any situation, like unhappy in my job, school, family. I was confused. I was paralyzed in perfectionism. I would attract people who really just didn't bring out the best in me, and I probably didn't bring out the best in them either, both like romantically and in my friendships. I would be super anxious. I would treat people poorly. I'd be moody, self-destructive. And back to that, like, I treated other people poorly. Most of all, I treated myself really poorly, like really bad standards for myself. I wouldn't try.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think that's something that most women deal with, right? And they just think, I'm the only one who deals with it. But really, there's a lot of women out there who feel like that sometimes. They feel like they're unhappy. They feel like they're not worthy. And, these are things that we all go through. And, what was that point in your life when you realized you could actually get out of that and, be the person that you are today? What was that aha moment?
I mean, I think and just in the same way, like, it's never been before or after self-confidence, always something I work on. There's been many ahas, but I think a really big one was, for me, I guess it was like 7 or 8 years ago, I was at this personal development retreat in California. And so I'd already kind of started my personal development journey and really kind of discovering myself. But of course, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens in stages. And I was at this retreat and they made us play this game. And I'm using air quotes. You can't see them right now, but it was this game. And it was a room of about 80 people that we literally had all just met. So we really didn't know each other. And they had us go around the room. We were all in a line and they had us face each other one by one. And you basically said yes or no. And you would say, like, yes, I would want to have a relationship with this person, like either romantically or like you could just kind of see it. Like you would want to get to know them better. I think that was the gist of it. Like just based off their energy and seeing them for the first time, would you want to get to know this person? And you would say yes or no. And then we'd go around the room like silently doing this. And then they actually had us tally up all the yeses and then ordered us from the most yeses to the least. And guess who was second last? Me. So I was second last. And I was really shocked because I got the least, second last, least yeses. And I think for me at that point, I had this like mask of self-confidence. So it was more like arrogance. And I had this mask on and I really thought I had people fooled. Like I even had myself fooled. I think through that experiment, it was clear that no matter how I looked on the outside, it's my energy that was leading. And, I think I was very like self-deprecating at that time in my life, and obviously like really not confident in myself and very insecure. But the way I would position it is I kind of had this like arrogant confidence, I guess. But it was clear to me like through that experiment that people could really see my energy and my self-deprecating, insecure kind of way about me. It didn't endear anybody to me. It actually it repelled people from me. And I just realized like, wow, I know absolutely nothing and I have a lot of work on myself to do. And from that point forward, I knew I had to learn a completely different way of thinking, being, talking, and doing. And that's really been my journey since that day. And it's been amazing. So that was my big aha, I think.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think we all go through something like that. I remember when I started this podcast, I had like this great idea. I was going to call it people can laugh at it now. I can actually laugh at it now. But I was gonna call it the stripper because my thing was to strip the limiting beliefs away, and then I had this cool artwork, and I had like this stripper with a whip, and I thought it was the greatest idea in the world, and thank God I'm in like this podcast like mastermind and group that told me like that is going to give you the wrong idea. But like you said, that arrogance, right? You're like, no, I know what I'm doing, when I really it was just my ego getting in the way. And sometimes we have to learn to drop down and realize these people are helping you. They're making you realize there's something inside you that, is blocking you from your greatness. And, imagine if I put that up on iTunes, like nobody probably would have listened to it, or they would have
the wrong kind of people.
Yeah. Or they would have gotten the wrong idea. And, it's great that sometimes we have this support system that can help us realize that. So, I mean, it's funny now, but at the time I was just like, nah, they're crazy. But, this is something that we all go through. And, because of that realization that you had, what's your life been like now?
Yeah, I mean, since then, I've really been working at it every day. And that realization, that really humbling moment, has given me the opportunity to just really understand myself and human nature. But most of all, even on that journey of self-discovery, it's really helped me understand and see the beauty in all of us. As cheesy as that sounds, I really do think every single person on this planet is just so beautiful. And I really understood from that moment that every single one of us just wants to be loved. And I really have compassion for every single person out there. And I think it's helped me feel more connected to other people. And I think since then, being on this journey, I'm just much easier going now, both with myself and others. Like I used to really hold grudges and get mad and throw temper tantrums and go on like a little power trip. I was kind of a little psycho, I guess. But, now I don't remember the last time I was mad about anything. Like I just don't go there anymore. And life is just so much less stressful now. And I've really been able to, I think I mentioned before, like before I was attracting kind of like not to say I'm not the best people, but we didn't bring out the best in each other. But now I've really been able to attract an amazing group of people into my life. And I have better relationships with my family. And I have a great relationship with my husband. I now have a really fulfilling career. I attract amazing clients. And I just understand my boundaries, and I have a new level of standards for myself. And I just have a really nice life. Like life is good. I could not be happier. I don't search for what I'm lacking any longer. I just kind of marvel in how great life is, and I don't take any of it for granted. And I think most importantly, since really making an effort to pursue like the best version of myself, I have a lot of fun. Like I grew up in my childhood and early adulthood, I didn't have fun. I was like that worrywart child who was really anxious about the future and always wanting to be older than she was. And so now I just enjoy my life. I have fun. I'm here for a good time, and I know we're not here for a long time. So I want to have the most fun I can have, and I'm really enjoying my life.
Thanks for sharing that, Sophie. And I'm glad, you're having the time of your life, and that's how we should live life. And, if we are just showing people what's possible, they can be inspired to take action as well. And, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in a similar journey to self-confidence. What'd be that one tip you would give to her?
The one tip, I think for a woman looking to find her own self-confidence, I would say understand it's going to take a different way of being, thinking, and doing. So that means stepping outside of your comfort zone consistently, and it's an everyday thing. It's like to get healthy, you can't just go on a diet and then go back to eating takeout and donuts, even very often. It's like a new way of being. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's okay to take baby steps to live to find the most confident version of yourself. And I would say, find a way to make yourself proud. Start trusting yourself. Give yourself opportunities to listen for those signs of where the path that you're meant to be on. And I think I would say forgive your past and find something to have faith in so that you can feel safe for your future. And they really just take this moment and be in the present, find a way to have fun in every moment. And I think if you really need to take a first step towards that, I would ask yourself, if you were completely in love with yourself and accepted yourself unapologetically as who you are, and if you knew you couldn't fail, how would you treat yourself differently? And move towards that person. If you can answer that question for yourself, you'll be a lot closer to your most self-confident self, your hottest, richest, and bitchiest self, so to speak.
Love it. Thanks for all those amazing tips. And Sofie, if our listeners wanted to connect with you or get to know a little bit more about you, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yeah, definitely. You can find me on my website. It's hotrichlove.com. You can find me on Facebook. It is Hot Rich Love Your Life on Facebook. I couldn't have the bitch part on Facebook. So it's facebook.com/hotrichlove.your-life. And then you can also find me on Instagram. That's probably one of my favorite social media platforms. And it's Love Your Life Bitch, LOVEURLIFEBITCH. So you can find me there.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing all that info. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Sofie, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Sofie's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I really just want to thank Sofie for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on the podcast. Love your work. And I've been listening to all the episodes and you're doing something really amazing. So thank you so much for your contribution to women's self-confidence everywhere.
Thanks. And yeah, I just do what I can. So
we're all just doing what we can, doing a really good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com to check out cool resources, blog articles, show recaps, and so much more. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.